Warning. The B3F podcast may contain language or subject matter that may not be suitable for kids. You've been fucking warned. Check out some friends of the show. The Two Brothers Podcast. The Trevor Jackson Podcast. Dem Jackson Boys. The Dumbass Dudes Podcast. Pop Culture Warrior. Happened in the 90s podcast. Follow at The Andy Harris on Twitter. Go to our website at b3fpodcast.com for merch. Click on Tell Us What You Really Think to leave a completely anonymous review of each of us.
Oh,
yeah, just some sick fuckers and I like that.
Enjoy the show, you cunts.
all right. Well, it's a bit early for a Saturday for me, earlier than normal, but I'm excited to do this early like this. I'm excited for the guests I'll bring on in just a moment. Gives me a lot of time this evening to do some stuff and watch the fights tonight. So anyway, hope everyone enjoyed having Steven on for a moment last week, or I say for a moment for the whole show, but don't know if that's going to happen again, but we'll see. Like he said, maybe he can do some remote stuff. He is moving to Alabama. So anyway, I don't know. I guess he doesn't like abortion and loves guns, and so he's going to Alabama. So anyway, I have some guests on here with me this week. I am drinking Jameson and ginger ale. Not the aged Jameson that Steven brought in here with him last week, but I am drinking Jameson and ginger ale. So my guest today, one has been on here before, and then another is his wife, and she is on the program I've talked about before that I do every other weekend. We're doing a show tomorrow, and if I'm not mistaken, I am hosting that. So if I am mistaken, then I've been preparing for nothing. But it is André from Juxtaposition Debate, JXP Productions, and his wife, Roxanne, the lovely Roxanne, who is her first time on this show. But she has tuned in before when Andre's been on. So, yeah.
I'm a virgin, so be gentle with me, please.
Here we go.
Oh, I'm glad to have you on, Roxanne. I'm glad to have André back again. I always love having André on here. But anyway, so how's it going?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. Life's busy, but life's good. But let me just say, I saw at the beginning of the show it said check out friends on the show.
Where
was I?
That
really hurts, man. That really hurts.
No, look, that was created before I was doing something for the weekend, and I'm sorry. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. It was created after I was doing something for the weekend, and it felt weird advertising my own stuff on my own show. So, I'm working on doing another intro just because I need to change a couple of things about it. So it will go on there at that time because I don't care anymore about advertising. You know, I don't care if it looks weird advertising my own stuff. So
that's the spirit.
Yeah, and honestly, that intro was created so that once the show started, I didn't have to read through a list of things. Because I used to have to. I had a paper in front of me and would read through a bunch of stuff, and now I don't have to do that anymore. So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, apart from the fact that I didn't see myself at the beginning of the show, life's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Well, what can I say? So, Roxanne, Andre's been on here before, and he always causes a stir. He always brings up controversial topics that I love to talk about. And Stephen, when Stephen was doing the show, Stephen loved to talk about it as well. But there's a juxtaposition to the two of you.
Definitely. Yeah.
How is that? Does Andre bring up those controversial topics at home daily, or is he much more subdued?
All the time. I think it's Andre's goal to bring up these topics so that he can basically see a reaction, get a bite, and he likes to rock. He likes to verbally. I mean, he does. But fortunately, as you said, we are in a relationship juxtaposition. I am totally different. I don't like to put myself out there. I don't like to talk. I'm a listener. So we are at total opposite ends of the spectrum. But our kids, especially the middle one, they give him what for. Basically, they're the ones that take the fight to him.
Sure. So are they a little more like him, or are they a little more like you, the kids?
That's a good question.
They're more like Roxanne. They are.
Are they?
Robin?
Oh no, yeah, okay. So the middle one's definitely a little fiery. But put it this way, when I was their age, I was had a little less sense. So they're a lot more sensible than I was when I was their age, and I'm guessing they got that from Roxanne.
Yeah, my kids are the same way, as far as they got a little more sense than I had at their age. But also at the age of my kids, I already was married with kids, so it's different. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to think of that, them being that age, married, I can't imagine our kids. Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
So how old are your kids, if you don't mind saying?
Oh, well, I don't mind saying. 30.
They might mind. The oldest one's in the early 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
so
the middle one, 20, 22, and 18. Last is 18.
18, 22, and then early 30s. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got one that's younger than my youngest, and then one that's at the same age as my middle, and then one that's a little older than my oldest. So okay. Yeah, so mine are 26, 22, and 20.
Sorry. I thought you might want to ask a question about the age gap.
No, we'll ask that we'll ask that in a minute. I'll ask about that in a minute.
I thought it was being polite. I should have known.
No. I'm not polite. No. No. So mine are 26, 22, and 21. So
right, yeah.
So I was 20 when my youngest was born. So so
you're middle 40s. All right, okay. All right.
Me, I'm 41. I'm 41. Yep.
Oh, young now. Young. That's a baby.
A baby. Look, I don't know how old you guys are, and I'm not going to ask, but I definitely won't ask Roxanne that you don't ask a woman her age, and you don't ask a woman her weight is one thing I've learned. And
I would be more offended about you asking about my weight.
That's and one thing I learned is you never bring up pregnancy to a woman, even if you know she's pregnant. Because I did that one time. I said to a friend of mine's wife, I was like, well, you guys got to be excited on you can have your first kid or whatever. And she said, yeah, I miscarried this week. And I immediately was like, all right, well, I will never ask another person about being pregnant ever again. That's happened to me twice, actually, that I've asked somebody about pregnancy and they miscarried that week. So I'll never ask anyone about, I don't care who it is. If I know they're pregnant or not, I'll never ask anyone about being pregnant. ever again. So
I did make a mistake once when I asked someone if they were pregnant and they weren't.
I've never done that. I've never done that. All right. So now to the age gap on the kids. You've got early 30s, 22 and 18. That's an age gap between the first two. And then, 4 years between the second two, which is nothing. So what's the deal with the age gap between the first two?
Yeah, that's my kid from another relationship.
Oh, okay.
Really?
From another relationship. Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was trying to decide how to ask the question. Were you married before, or was this? I mean, being the oldest. Being the oldest, I don't worry if it came from an affair or anything like that. Since it's the oldest kid, if it was the youngest or middle kid, then that might be more questions. But all right, so I'm assuming they had kids quite young.
Yeah. So we had the first one quite young, and I'm assuming it was quite a shock to us because we waited quite a while. I think we decided that we would try and get our lives together before we had another child. And then 8-9 years later, you realize there's never an ideal, or we realized there was never going to be a time when we thought, we're financially secure and ready and emotionally ready. So it was a case of now or never.
Yeah. It's interesting because none of our kids were planned. Like, we didn't plan any of them. The oldest, which is so Gabe, you guys have met Gabe before. He was on something for the weekend one time. So he's my stepson in reality. Started dating my wife when he was 9 months old. So I guess I was 16 and she was 17, and he was 9 months old. And then she got pregnant and we got married in December 99. And then the youngest son, middle child, was born in June 2000. And then the daughter, she ended up getting pregnant again shortly after he was born. And so they're actually, my youngest two are less than a year apart. So he was born in June and she was born the following May. So they're about 2.5 or so weeks apart. So Irish twins, we call it. So, yeah. So, but again, I agree. I agree with you as far as I don't think you ever feel financially stable or secure enough or whatever to have kids, because I mean, even now, if we were younger but still financially and emotionally whatever where we're at, I don't know that we'd feel prepared to I wouldn't anyway feel prepared to have a kid. My wife wishes we had one more. She wishes we'd had a fourth, but no one. Yeah,
I think, me personally, I think right now I'm probably financially in a scenario where if we were as we are now, back when the first child was born, we probably would have had the others earlier.
Yeah.
So right now life's pretty relaxed, I think, considering some of the times we've been through.
So that means that you've been married for 20 odd years.
Yeah, it'll be 23 years in December.
Right, okay, so how do you what do you think, if anybody was to ask you, what's the secret to be married for so long?
Do you get asked that question?
Because nowadays nothing lasts for any amount of time.
Sure.
Do you get asked that question, Joey? Do people ask you that?
Have I ever been asked that? Is that what you're asking me? Yeah, I have. I actually was a guest on another podcast a few weeks ago. The episode's not out yet, but the podcast is called "Is Marriage Worth It?" And it's two young single ladies that are at that age. I think they're probably in their early 20s or late 20s or something like that, and they're at the age where they're looking at long-term relationships and things, and so they're asking the question to married people: Is marriage worth it? And they did ask me, what's the secret? Because in all honesty, there's only one couple that is around the same age as my wife and I that got married young like we did, not as young as we did, but young like we did. There's only one other couple that are still married. All of the others have gotten divorced and or remarried. I mean, Steven's on his third marriage. So, I mean,
Wow.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. But so I don't know as far as a secret. So I do have one question. This will kind of lead me into it, but I think it's very important to know who you are as an individual person before you're in a long-term relationship or married, because that was a problem my wife and I had. Is we didn't really know because we were so young when we got married and started having kids, that we didn't really know who we were individually. So I think that's important. And then I also think that counseling and therapy, premarital counseling is a good idea. And then just, at least going in for an occasional tune-up here and there is very important, because it's a third party. It's not related to you. They're unbiased. They can tell you straight just how it is. And they're also professionals in the field of psychology or psychiatry, so they can offer an unbiased opinion on things. And I think that's important. I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but once or twice a year to go in and just kind of touch base with an unbiased third party, I think is very important. Aside from that, have 2 TVs and 2 bathrooms so that you don't have to share either of them. Is probably pretty important. That's probably an important thing. So,
yeah, the 2
but
TVs.
yeah. And have hobbies that are separate from each other, are also, I have things that I'm into, my wife's not into it, and she's the same way. So, but so that brings me to my, first, before that question, what do you guys, I mean, I don't know, how long have y'all been married? I don't know how long you've been married.
32 years? No, 33 years coming up. Yeah, 33 years.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, I think it's very interesting what you said about basically knowing who you are before you get into a relationship. I think that us being so young, for the first few years, that was a kind of decider. Like you said, all relationships got your ups and downs. So I think, in the very beginning, I think that was a major factor. Like that, Adrian was my first boyfriend. We got married early, we had kids early, so I didn't have a life or know me before I met Adrian. We've always been together.
How did you manage to?
Well, see, that's my thing, because Stephen mentions therapy. In England, we don't do therapy.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's not a thing. So so when you said it, I kind of thought, well, how have we done it?
Yeah,
right. And I don't know, it's that cliche thing that we were 2 people that were meant to be. I say this now, and in a few weeks' time, we're going to get divorced.
Sure.
No, I understand. After them, luck.
I mean, I do think luck does play into it to an extent.
Because they think I'm going to say something extravagant. I think a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is, when I say luck, just the luck that as you grow, the younger you are, the more chances that you can grow in separate directions. And luckily, we probably did enough things together where we grew, but we remained relatively intact with the things that we did, and we didn't change too much. And silly little things, which I'll say, what is that? If Roxanne had ever become religious to a strong degree, silly things like that could have had a huge impact on us.
I could see that. I mean, because my wife and I have kind of went through a cycle of religion and not as. It's interesting because it's like not religious, but still a believer, and then kind of these ebbs and flows and how into it we are or whatever. So
that's what relationships are, isn't it? The whole relationship is probably ebbs and flows and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that kind of brings me then to my question is, what is it about therapy that the UK is not into. Like we've talked, Andre, you and I have talked about it a little before, but yeah, but what is it? I mean, is it I don't need somebody else to know my business? Is it I'll figure it out on my own? What is it?
I think that in the UK we don't like to expose our business.
Yeah.
You know, whatever happens in the home stays in the home. So to go out to a third party and be raw, it's not a UK thing.
Yeah.
It's not a UK
thing. And I also admit, I am also, even though, you know, I'm sure they're qualified, I am still skeptical about airing my life to some stranger who is then going to make decisions that will probably affect me and my relationship long term, especially if I don't like the decision.
I think that is I think that's a misunderstanding of the process, because they don't make decisions for you. That's the thing. They just
then is it like we see on TV then, where when you ask them a question and they ask you a question with a question? That
does happen. I mean, they're really more there for helping you figure out why it is you think the way you think and react the way you react, and then they can help guide you, not so much lead you, but help guide you into making healthier decisions and having a healthier thought process when you react or when you want to react certain ways. So again, it's baffling to me that anyone, even in the US, when anyone's like so anti therapy, like you take your car into the shop for an oil change and things like that, which is a cliched example, but why not a relationship, especially if you,
we believe that we understand ourselves and we know what we're doing. I don't know how to fix a car, so I take it to the garage. If I knew how to fix it, I'd probably do it myself. But me, as far as I'm concerned, who knows me better than me? What can I tell you?
if I had to guess, I bet Roxanne knows you better than you. But I bet it works both ways because you've been together.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, but no, I would still think that I know myself better than Roxanne, because Roxanne enables me to behave a certain way, where even though deep down there may be certain things I want to do or say, who knows whether Roxanne knows, I don't know, but there may be certain scenarios. I think most of the time Roxanne doesn't actually, but there are certain things that Roxanne helps to keep you on the straight and narrow, but you know, I don't know how much Roxanne knows about how I can be deep down.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that. I think I agree with that, because even though we've been together for so long, I only know what I know about you, of whatever you're prepared to share to me. If that makes sense.
I'm guessing the question would be, by now, it's like being a big brother. I mean, at the end, they always end up showing who they truly are. So I would assume that even though with you, I may curb certain instincts, I would assume that there have been times where you might have seen it. I don't know. I'd assume that you roughly do know what. That's my assumption anyway.
No, I would have thought that after yourself, I'd be the second person that knows you better. But I don't think,
Yeah. And likewise, I'm assuming. So do you think then that I would know Roxanne better than she knows herself?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I do think so. I think it's less likely to happen from the male side of things, because in general, males compartmentalize things and parse things out. So we tend to overlook some nuances and things. But I think in your relationship, and I don't know all the ins and outs of your relationship, but I've had multiple conversations with the two of you, and then even more so with you, Andre. So I would think in your relationship, yes, you do probably know Roxanne better than she knows herself. you probably know what she's going to do, whereas she's not thinking. When she reacts, she just reacts. There's no thought to it. And you do the same thing. You just react. There's no thought to it for the most part. Those spur of the moment reactions, but you know what she's going to do beforehand because one, you've probably had the conversation in your head already. That's what I do.
Okay. Well, that does make perfect sense. Yeah. Like, I know that if you're going to go to the shop, you're going to forget something, or you're going to come back with something that we don't need. Yeah. So okay.
So I feel
you're a funny guy.
I think that specific topic came up a couple of weeks ago on something for the weekend and I can't remember this, but so we use a shared app that anyone in the house. So me, my wife, daughter, if we add to the grocery list, everyone sees it. So whoever goes to the store can get everything. And you guys do that too, right?
Well, we've got a shared group. The only problem is that Roxanne sees it about 4 or 5 days later. So we actually talk about Roxanne on the group. And even the kids say it's okay because by the time she sees it, we would have moved on. The subject would have gone. So.
Right.
So no use putting a shopping list on there. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I'm the only person in the house that does the shopping.
Okay. Well, then...
I'm the only person in the house that does the shopping. So how does that work?
No, that's not quite true. Actually, that's not quite true. I regularly go and have to buy
stuff for your weight gain stuff. Yeah, stuff for you.
But it's shopping, though, isn't it? It's shopping. It's shopping. It's food.
Not for the household.
Yeah. So really, I think what we're saying here is that you don't really buy enough food for the household. So I have to, I have to go and buy more food. I think that's what we're saying here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's go. I want to go back to the therapy thing for just a minute.
Yeah.
What would it take? What would have to happen before either of you would go, you know what, maybe this therapy thing could help?
I think I would be closer to getting to that stage than you, because I know that you wouldn't want to. Oh no, maybe if I insisted, and you might.
Very good, very good. I was thinking the only reason I would go is if Roxanne said that our relationship depended on it. I think, that's, apart from that, I can't see a reason to go.
I got you.
Yeah. What about yourself? So what would drive you to go?
Screwed around.
Sorry?
If you screwed around.
You think go to a therapist for?
Yeah.
What do you go to a therapist for? Female therapist.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my wife, our therapist that my wife and I use on occasion is a woman, but she's a little more actually in personality. She's a little more like me as far as what she will say and is willing to talk about or whatever. So it helps because there's a female perspective, but then someone whose personality is a little more like mine. But she's very good. She is very good at her job. I say she is a big reason why my wife and I are still married. So
how does it work then? Is it just put luck? Do you have to shop around and you visit a therapist and check them out?
Yes.
So like you don't go back, you find someone else.
Wow.
Yes, I had an individual therapist because I had some unrecognized issues from childhood, from religion and parents and things like that. So I had a therapist that I was seeing who was pretty good individually, and then I asked her, is there someone that you would recommend for couples? And she said, yes, she's a good friend of mine. She's actually right next door. You should check her out. And so that's what I did. I called. They shared an office space, like an office building anyway. And so she was right next door. And so I called her and made an appointment. We went to see her, and she's very blunt. She doesn't mince her words. She's just to the point. She says exactly what she thinks and exactly what studies and medical stuff will tell you. And I liked her. My wife liked her. And so we went, and when we when we started going to her, actually the thing was, my wife was saying, we're getting divorced and we need to know how to live in our children's lives amicably and be good to each other and raise these kids, because we had kids that were in like middle school and late middle school, high school, like 7th, 8th, 9th grade or something like that. And so she told us, she's like, my goal always is to help couples figure out how to stay together. Hey, Big T's tuning in. What's up, Big T?
Hey.
She told us, she said, my goal is always to help couples figure out how to stay together. But if your goal is to just figure out how to be nice to each other and raise kids together while not being together, then we'll figure that out as we go or whatever. But I don't know, a month later of going every week, probably a month and a half, maybe even more than that, going every week together. I don't know what she did, what kind of voodoo magic it was, but my wife and I we figured out, like we still loved each other and we still wanted to be together and figure it out. And so we did. I mean, I do credit her with a lot of that, but we didn't know who we were separate from each other. We figured that out while we were separated. So, but anyway,
so does anyone ever argue with the therapist?
What do you mean? Like if she says something and I go, I disagree with you or whatever, is that what you're saying? Like, yeah. There's plenty of times that she said something and I've said, like, I don't agree. I don't think it's that way, but I'll think about it. I'll look into it, whatever, that's one thing. You should have to be open. I mean, because we all think we're right most of the time, right? Everyone thinks that when they say something, they're right. And that was a big problem with me, and still is sometimes, that if I have an opinion on something, I think it's right. And I'm not willing to oftentimes hear someone else's I will hear your opinion, but I'm not taking it seriously or considering it. So I have I'm not really argued with it, but said, I don't think that's the case, or I disagree, but okay.
Right.
Big T said, I realize it's cheaper to keep her. No, honestly, Big T, it wasn't at the time, because she made more money than me. So yeah. So anyway,
that you credited you staying together down to therapists. Couldn't it just be in the realization that, as you said, you guys do love each other? I just don't understand how it took a stranger for you to realize that you both were still in love and still wanted to be together. This person, like you said, it must be some voodoo magic that they're doing, because how could you not know that before? Why did you have to be told by someone?
All right.
Yeah, it was because we were so, and especially my wife, like I was very hard to live with for the first 14 years or 15 years of marriage. I was a very hard person to live with.
I started to find that a bit hard to believe.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, no, I was very hard to, again, to go back to the thing and of always feeling like I was right, in which Troy said, Troy Smith, friend of the show, said it's a guy thing. It's hard to admit when we're not right, so we just buy our wife something to cover it up. but he also just chimed in and said sometimes it takes a third party that doesn't fully know everything. Yeah, I agree with that. They're unbiased, but I think that I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. It's she didn't tell us that we still loved each other. She just said, that she didn't really say a lot. She kind of guided us and let us kind of say what we wanted to say, and then offered me a perspective on my wife's opinion and offered my wife a perspective on my opinion. And I don't know, it just helped realize that while we knew we loved each other, we just didn't, my wife didn't want to be with me anymore. I was too hard to be with. And I hadn't been willing to put a lot of effort into changing. I was, again, very hard to live with for the first 14, 15 years of our marriage. I'm not saying I'm easy to live with now, but I definitely still have my faults. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's an interesting.
Yeah. Was I difficult to live with in the early days?
No, I wouldn't say that you were difficult to live with, but I think that you're
the no is the no. We could just leave it the no.
I think that you've got you had, I believe that an old school look at how relationships would be. I think you're very much the man, the provider. He makes all of the decisions, kind of thing. So
yeah. But you were a lot quieter then. You come out of your shell, and that's why I was talking about relationships and ebbs and flows, because when we were first together, as they say on the street, I was running things.
You were.
But somewhere along the line, I lost my footing.
Yeah, it's Big T said it's okay, Roxanne. Honesty is the best policy.
I love Big T.
Yeah, it was Troy Smith says it's often said that it's hard to see the picture while you're in the frame. So,
poet.
Yeah.
Poet.
Yeah, Troy's a smart guy. Troy Smith's real smart guy. But yeah, I damn women's lib comes around and women. No. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I ran the show, but I'm not going to say I didn't run the show either. Like, it didn't feel at the time like I was, but my wife might say something differently. But, I don't know. We both have trauma from our childhood that we had to figure out why we say and do some of the things we do. But I'm a believer that that you can work just about anything out if you love somebody. But so that kind of go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think the one thing that probably would be good about the therapist, if you're in relationships where you have trouble communicating, and I'm sure there's lots of relationships like that, where you end up arguing and stuff like that. I think that's one good thing about a therapist, that you can both go there. And I'm assuming if the man normally jumps all over the woman every time she tries to speak, or if the bloke can't get a word edgeways, then yeah, a therapist would be good in that scenario, because I think that's what it normally takes. As long as you guys are able to talk things out, then the chances of you resolving issues, whatever they may be, increases tenfold. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
I could see that. So, like I said, I think you can work just about anything out if you love somebody or whatever. But and I've asked multiple people this question, but I kind of wondered what the two of your opinion is. Do you feel like love is a choice, or is it something you just can't help? You fall in love, you can't help it. I can't help but love this person. Like, I don't know what, you hear people say, I don't know what it is, I just love them, I just can't help it. So
I heard your views on this, so let me hear Roxanne speak.
Me, I think my heart rules everything. So yeah, it's a case of I can't help but fall in love. If I love you, that's it. So yeah. That's my take on it. I'm not even sure what the question is asking. I think love is just it's a state of being. It's just how you feel, and if it's how you feel, then yeah, to some extent, unless you consciously try to not be in that state, then yes, it's just a natural state that you're in, and to some extent you can say that yes, you can't help it, it's just how you feel.
Okay.
But yeah, your views are slightly different on this, isn't it? You don't like that thought if your missus says I can't help love you.
I do like the feeling of love. Like, I do like that, and I think that the feeling of love is a real thing. T says love comes from a connection. You don't choose connections, you make the connection. I can get on with half of that, T. I think there definitely is a feeling of love. The feeling of falling in love is a real feeling. I don't think it's the most important or the best version of love, though. To me, the best love is the love you choose every day. So for me, I've said this, it took a long time for me to realize this, but every morning, and it's not that it's a conscious thought every morning where I get up and I look in the mirror and I go, you're going to love your wife today. That's not what I'm doing. But every day is a conscious decision that no matter what happens, I'm going to choose to still love my wife. Doesn't matter. But that also doesn't mean that nothing could happen that you would not be with them anymore. You can still love somebody and not be with them. I mean, it happens in abusive relationships and things like that all the time. You love somebody, but you just can't be with them anymore. But I choose to love my wife every day, and that to me is better or more important than not being able to help it. Because if you can't help it, then you really don't have any control over it. If you can fall in love, you can fall out of love, and I think the relationship is more important than just leaving it up to the whims of Cupid. I would much rather it be that every no matter what happens, no matter how hard everything is, that I know that she's going to choose to love me no matter what, even if there's a problem and then we have to work it out, that she would say to me, I still love you. I still choose to love you. I'm very mad at you, but I still choose to love you. Or I'm very hurt by you, but I still choose to love you. That's way more important because you have a say in it, and that's more important to me.
What do you mean you have a say in it?
You're choosing it. You're choosing it.
Oh, the person. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's way. I would rather somebody look at me and say, I am so mad at you that I don't want to look at you right now, but I still am choosing to love you anyway. But I'm going to go in another room because I can't be around you, but I still choose to love you. Rather than somebody say, I am so mad at you, but I can't help but love you. That doesn't mean anything to me because you don't have any control over it. There's no thought to it. So it looks like you guys froze up. I'm not sure if you're still there, if you can still hear me. I can't hear you. But so if you need to reboot or jump out and come back in, then go for it. But so I see here was Big T says you could choose money and great sex, but love will secure your happiness. Yeah. And T, like I was saying, you said love comes from connections. You don't choose your connections, you make the connections. I agree with that. I mean, I agree that you don't really choose your connections, but you choose to maintain that connection. You choose to go into that connection every day and strengthen that connection. So anyway, yeah. I tell you what, we're about 43 minutes into this right now. Let's take a quick break, give them a moment to get their stuff situated, and then we'll be right back. I'll be back whether they get it fixed or not. All right. Got you guys.
Oh, no.
Oh.
We were talking away, mate. I thought that you had frozen. I thought we were still there. We were chatting away, mate.
No. No, I saw all of a sudden I didn't hear anything else, and I didn't hear anything else, and didn't you guys weren't moving, so I thought, they must have froze. So I didn't know if you could hear me or not. So
No,
anyway,
froze,
yeah.
So we thought,
No, we're still good because Big T popped on and he said they froze.
We have to do this thing and just
Yeah. So what Do you remember what you were saying whenever I froze?
Well, I know that we were still. No, I can't remember quite what you were saying, but I remember you just before we froze. You said something to the effect of, "If you love each other, you can sort out anything."
I feel like you can sort out anything. Yeah, just about anything. I'm going to say just about anything.
All right, because even that, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if love's enough. I think that's again that just something that sounds really good. Love conquers all.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't really believe that love conquers all, but I believe you can love somebody that you're not with, for sure. I mean, I think.
But if love can solve all issues, then then love conquers all.
No. I don't think love can solve all issues. I think, there could be an issue that you can't be with that person anymore, but you can still love them, but you just can't be with them anymore. I mean, my mom was married to a man that she loved dearly, but she just couldn't be with him anymore. And eventually he died, and now she is remarried to someone else. But yeah, I mean, she did love him quite a lot, but she just couldn't be with him. Divorced him and everything, but she still loved him. If he could have got his act together, she would have married him again. She married him twice, actually. She married him, divorced him, married him again, and then divorced again. And I think had he ever actually got his act together, she might would have married him a third time. I don't know. Wow. So, yeah. But anyway, but no, I don't necessarily think it conquers all, but I do wholeheartedly believe that a love you choose is better than a love you can't help.
Okay, yeah, that's just about. Yeah, I still I think struggled a little bit with that. The idea of having to or consciously choosing to love someone. I always thought that love was just an emotion and something you feel. And I know you said the problem with that is that you can fall out of love, but I think as Roxanne said when we thought we were still on air that you could easily wake up one morning and decide that you're not going to consciously.
Yeah, you can. And to me, that's why it's so powerful, because even though you can make that decision, you still choose to anyway. That's also, why it's so powerful.
Also, during our chat, Roxanne, I said that when couples argue, I'm assuming they still love each other, and you hesitated. So do you think that during arguments sometimes during that time you can
I think if we
during it
for a split thinking I dislike you so much,
but see, disliking someone and not loving them is not the same thing.
Well, I wanted to say hate, but I didn't want to. I wanted to say hate, really, but I've hated you so much, and I'm thinking, I want out of this, but I think you can.
Yeah, hate's a strong one. Like I grew up, you weren't allowed to say hate in my house growing up. My mom wouldn't. You couldn't tell if you told one of your siblings, "I hate you." Oh man, you were in big trouble growing up, big time. Yeah, she was very much. Part of it was a religious thing. Part of it was, I don't know what the other part was, but it was very much you could not say that at my mom's house. So, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you fall out of love. You're kind of actually proving my point actually by saying I think for a split second you fall out of love with someone during an argument. It's like that to me. If it's so finicky that if you have an argument that you fall out of love, then it's not as strong a love as I feel, as I think. I'm fully, can say fully this is strictly my opinion, but I'd much rather have somebody that is looking at me and saying, I'm so mad at you that I even if I were in love with you right now, I wouldn't be, but I'm still choosing to walk away and quit this conversation and still choose to love you. And I don't know, that's way more important to me and way better to me than to me. And I think my wife and I slightly disagree on this too. I think she likes the fall in love, can't help it thing. And I'm more into I want to know you're choosing it no matter what. It's not to say that it gives me free reign to do whatever I want and you're going to choose to love me anyway. But it's, if I fuck up today and I don't do something, or I do something or whatever, and I'm sorry for it, whatever, you're still going to choose to love me.
Yeah, deep stuff, but yeah, I guess I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Deep stuff.
You can't understand where I'm coming from.
It's too deep. So that's about that whole. No, it's not. But it reminds me of this conversation, this ongoing conversation I've had with, especially women, about. Is it? what is it now? Is it the love? Is it
unconditional?
Oh right, no. That's another thing. Unconditional love. But I've forgotten it now. Is it? There's two types of love, or I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or something like that.
Yeah.
So come on, Joey, you should be all about all this. Explain that and the difference between.
I think it's exactly what we're talking about. In, like Roxanne saying, in an argument, I'm not in love with you. But see, I take it a step further and say, like, in this argument, in whatever situation we're going through, I'm not in love with you, but I do still love you. But so you can have both. I'm not saying there's only one type of love. I'm saying love is an emotion. You can fall in love. But to me, the most important and the best love is the love that you choose to continue with, no matter what's going on. You're still choosing it. And it's not giving the power to love. It's actually giving the power to the person, because the person is making the choice. And that's why it's so important to me.
Well, in my finicky in love situation, you said, if we've argued, that's a bit sick and I hate you, but I still want to be with you. So am I not still choosing to consciously love that person? We've argued, but I still want to be with that person. I don't want to take it to a stage that I don't want to be with you. So in the same way, am I my finicky love?
Well, when you say you still want to be with him, are you just using different words rather than just saying, I still love you? I'm not in love with you, but I still love you.
Okay, I guess the question is, why would you still want to be with me then? Yeah.
Because I take it I'm consciously deciding that I still want to be with you.
But I mean, to me, you're saying the same thing now. You're just using you're using the phrase, I want to be with you, rather than saying I choose to love you anyway.
Yeah, I think that even with the state of being in love, I think that if you have an argument and you might be angry for that period of time or whatever, but the love, I don't think, again, I can speak for myself, I don't think the love goes away. You might be angry. Okay. You might be angry with the person for whatever reason, but on some level, I think the love is still there, which is why you stay with the person.
Is the love still there because you can't control it, or because you're choosing it?
The love is there because, well, it's there because, yeah, it has to be because I choose it, because there is definitely a level where you can go beyond, and I'll decide regardless of what, I'm out of here, but not for an argument. So even though I'm in the state of being in love, if we argue, I don't think that those arguments are sufficient for me to say, look, I no longer love you. I just think that I assume that while we're arguing, it's something that's happened, and I'm in the back of my mind, I guess I assume that at some stage we will resolve it and we will continue.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but, and again, I'm not saying that's the only type of love. I'm just saying that's the love that's most important to me. I think, there's brotherly love and all that, all of that. But so, marriage in the UK, how does, I mean, I don't know, but, what is the general, how is a general husband-wife relationship in the UK? Like in the US now, anyway, it's a much more 50-50 split, depending on what part of the country you're in. Some countries is a little more, it absolutely leans more toward the man being in control or whatever. But it's getting more and more towards a more 50-50 split, in not necessarily in responsibility, but as in importance of opinion and importance of who does what and things like that. So what is that like in the UK?
I think for me, it's an age thing. It depends on the time that you were born. Because for me, I'm old school. Even though in our relationship, I don't believe it's 50-50. I think it's still a little bit. You would have the final say. We will talk about it, but I think that you would have the final say. But I'm happy with that. It doesn't bother me, so long as you listen to what I've got to say and you kind of think, okay, she said this. Don't kind of agree with it, but it's in the back of my mind, and I will kind of heed what she says. But I think at the end of the day, I think you have the deciding say. But I don't mind that, and it could be I'm a lot older, but I think someone like my daughter who's in her 22. There's no way. There is no way that it's
sure.
So I think I would say it's a generation thing.
But
on the whole, I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, on the whole, I think guys in the UK are hanging on by their fingertips. Equal.
Yeah, I think that's some of how it is in the US as well. I just I don't, for better or for worse, I don't know, but
one thing we don't do is it's not a big deal if we don't pump our women's gas. It's something you guys brought up in one of the programs.
Sure, it's not a big deal if we don't do that, but there's some guys, and I happen to be one of them, that if I have the opportunity, I'll go get the gas for my woman, or petrol as y'all call it.
Yeah, I'm calling it gas, but yeah, petrol. Yeah.
I like that. I do like that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll pump some gas here.
Yeah. So is there anything that men would do similar to that, but that probably we don't do over here?
Oh, no, they don't do. Obviously, we take the garbage out with rubbish, but so do you guys.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. Yeah. Are American men more chivalrous than men in the UK? I don't know, but I can't think of anything. In fact, that's just something that I only remember because when you guys mentioned it, I was surprised. Big T said the same thing.
Yeah,
thought, what?
Yeah.
It's petrol, man. It's not too big.
No, it just I don't know. It just is one of those things. But there's some things that I do that I don't see other men do. Like I think we've even talked before. Like if my wife and I are out somewhere, if I can get to the car before her, I'll go open the car door for her.
Yeah, you said that.
I
don't do that.
No, you don't, baby, you don't.
But I drive.
Yeah, you do all of the driving. I won't drive.
Yeah, I do most. All of the driving actually.
I'm struggling to keep up with Joey here, aren't I?
Yeah, I do the driving. I wash my own clothes.
All right, let's change the subject.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Okay, well, then that brings us on, because we talked about this before, but before Roxanne goes into one, let me say that, and I think this may or may not, I don't know, have stemmed from the show, but I know that Roxanne is looking into getting some help around the house, which is something that I think you mentioned, Joe.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're looking into now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't do that. We don't get a cleaner in. Should we? Probably, but we don't. I don't feel like we can afford one though. So I don't know. But
now we have to.
Yeah, well, Roxanne's worth it. Roxanne's worth it.
Really?
Yeah. That's I get it. That's.
I
still have to pump my own gas though.
One step at a time, Roxanne. One step at a time. Yeah. So someone in to do the dishes and.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think my wife and I split the dishes for the most part now. And split the cooking. We split the cooking.
Oh my God!
What?
No, I said that I did it. You said you and your wife split the dishes, and I said I did dishes as well. And because I've said that, she's
no. And then he says they split the cooking.
You split the cooking as well.
You don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we can see it's clear. See if she can cook. We get to see the cooking as well.
Yeah.
I cook that again.
No, we
You do not, Adrian. You don't. No, you do not.
Yeah, I cooked some fish just today.
No. Whenever it's your turn to cook, we get takeout.
All right, let's go back to the cleaner. And yeah, Roxanne's so worth every penny. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Oh man. So but there's not anything that you can think about as far as like maybe that UK men do, or even UK women do that American men or women don't really do.
Yeah, you see, I'm still learning about US guys, US on the whole, and stuff like that. So I'm assuming there is, but off the top of my head.
Yeah, because normally like things like doing the gardening, that's a male thing here and in the UK, isn't it?
In the US,
here in the US.
So when you say doing the garden, you mean like cutting the grass and things like that?
Not the grass, but more the weeding and stuff. Who normally does that in the US?
Most of the time men are doing whatever is going on with the yard work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah. So
there's not.
But a lot of men in the US really want to have their yard look a specific way. Like they cut lines in the yard so that they cut like this week when they cut their grass, they'll cut it one direction, and the next week they'll cut it a different direction so that the grass continues growing in a specific way. And I'm not like that. I just go circles around the yard until the grass is all cut and be done with it. Like I don't want to spend any more time doing it than I have to. Yeah. I got a really big lawnmower, that way I can cut my grass quicker. So yeah. So anyway, but yeah, men do most of the time do the yard work. Now, when it comes to flowers, I see a lot of women that are tending to flowers, like in the flower beds and things like that. But I think it's because they've chosen the flowers and they want them to look a specific way. So I think I see that quite a bit. But my wife doesn't like any of the planting. Like she doesn't like dealing with plants or anything like that. So
have you guys got flowers and stuff like that in your garden?
No, right now we don't. I had somebody come and pull all of the bushes out of our flower beds a little while ago because I didn't like the ones that were in there. They were in the house when we bought it 4 years ago, and I just didn't like them. So I have nothing in that flower bed right now except dirt, and I'm trying to decide what I want to plant there. So anyway, I'm sure my neighbors hate me because I have nothing in my flower bed and they feel like it's ugly. So anyway.
So what about things like maybe like André, you were saying, like she does all of the handiwork around
she's single.
True.
Yeah. So of course, in the UK, I guess it's US as well. If you're a woman and you're single, then you're gonna end up doing a lot of stuff that maybe men would do. I expect you to do that. She's alone.
When you say handy, you mean like fixing something that something that's broken, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, we've got a friend of ours, and she's really an independent woman. I try to keep her away from Roxanne. And she says to me that when she meets a bloke, the first thing she does is to look at his toolbox.
Oh.
So I said, well, hold on, at your age, I mean, God, do you know, in the US, I don't know if toolbox means the same thing as it does in the UK. I don't think it does.
So what do you mean? And I'll tell you.
In the UK, normally, if you talk about someone's toolbox, you're talking about their
private,
their nether regions, their private parts.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, that's not what we mean here. No.
Okay, then it won't really have the impact then, because that's what I thought she was talking about. But no, she was literally talking about a toolbox. She's got a box with tools in it, and if she meets a man and he hasn't got as many tools as she does, it's a no-no.
Yeah, that's what we would mean more here. Toolbox, hammer,
normally,
drill, things like that. Yeah.
Normally, most women, if they're talking about toolbox, they're not talking about monkey wrench and all that stuff.
Yeah. So in the U.S., if somebody said, first time I meet a man, I look at his tool, then they would mean what you're talking about. But if they said toolbox, then they would mean where he keeps his hammer and drill.
Exactly. Yeah, we say tools, but toolbox is where he keeps his tools.
Right.
So she's still talking about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of times the men will do the handiwork or they'll hire someone to come and fix something or whatever. If you're a single woman in the US, you either do it yourself, learn how to do it, or you get, a family member to come help, or you hire somebody for the most part. I mean, there are plenty of women that can do that kind of stuff, but yeah, I think in a normal household, I'm not saying normal, in a heterosexual household, people, the man, I think in general does it. Now, that's also a generational thing too. I think younger people are not learning that stuff as much, but I also think the parents aren't teaching them that kind of stuff. So anyway.
So your parents teach you that kind of stuff?
No.
Exactly.
not as a kid, but I still try to do most of it if I can do it. Like when our air conditioner when our air conditioner went out a couple of weeks ago, I can't fix an air conditioner, so we hired a guy. But we wanted to put tile down on our bathroom floor. I'd never done it before, but I looked it up and did it myself. So but my dad has helped me much more as an adult as far as teaching me things or I can go to him with questions and say, yeah, I'm trying to do this at home, but I'm running into this issue. And he'll go, oh, no, you need to do it this way. And then that's kind of the way it is. So anyway, yeah. So you still have, we'll go back to kids. So you obviously an adult child that's out of college or university or whatever, and then I think you have one that's now in university, right? And then you have, would you say, 18-year-old? So I'm assuming is about to go to university, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So are they locally going to university, or they move off somewhere, go?
No, they move off somewhere and go. So
they get their independence, they move off. But our first one moved quite far away, so we didn't see her that often for the time she was out. Yes. The others, they moved away, but the middle one moved away, but it was still enough where she could come home at a weekend if she needed to. Didn't come home every weekend, but the opportunity's there. And I think the same with my son, the distance that he's going, if he wanted to come home at weekends,
he could. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a trek, but he could. Yeah.
And so, how do you guys feel about the distance? I'm assuming Roxanne wants to keep her babies closer, and André is more of a, hey, if I see you in once a month, fine. If I don't, long as I can talk to you. Maybe I've got you guys backwards. How is it?
No, I think for me, yes, I like my kids being close, but maybe because this is the third one now, I'm kind of looking forward to this new stage in our life whereby the last won't be independent. Yeah, he'll be independent, so we can then move on and do more things like, I don't know, holiday together and just have time to be together. So I do like my kids being close, but I'm getting to the stage now where you know what, this is our time.
Yeah. I think it's important for the kids to spend some time away from home. Our kids have all grown up with a relatively cushioned life. I remember I once said to my son, well, you could never sort of say, because he's works hard at school. And I said, but you could never say, I sort of achieved all this. I've sort of pulled myself out of the ghetto. I've really made something. And he said to me, why would I want to say that? So they just Whereas my generation, if we make it, we like to think that we came from nothing and we strived and got where we were. But but no, my point is that I think our kids have really had it quite easy. Roxanne really looks after them So I can't complain because I guess that's one of the reasons why we've yeah. Anyway, my point is that I think it's gonna be good for them to go out there and fend for themselves.
Yeah,
No.
I think so. Sure.
Not my boy. Oh.
So is that you have one son?
Yeah, one son.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
a boy.
yeah. So we're exactly the opposite. We had 2 boys, and then the last is a girl, and that's the one that when she moved out in January, and that was it. It was just me and my wife and 2 dogs here at that point, and I was sad that she was moving out. I really was, but once she was out, and I kind of saw that once a week she was coming back to the house and have dinner with us and things like that, and I was like, oh well, this I'm still gonna see her, and it was fine. And then in May she had to move back in, because she had to move back in May because the house that she and a friend were renting, the owner decided to sell the house, and so they had to move out, and they had such a good deal on the rent that they couldn't find anything for that price right now here, so she had to move back in. And so we got a taste of being alone, empty nesting, and now it's kind of like, oh, we kind of enjoyed not not having anyone else here. So
I was going to ask that question. So what's it like? Because I know Roxanne and I are talking about going on holidays, and normally when we go on holidays, we go horse riding and camel riding, and we go into the desert on bikes and all those things. And normally we do that. Well, I do because I enjoy it, but we do also because of the kids. So I wonder, now when we go on our next holiday without the kids, are we really just going to be visiting sites and just walking around? And
like 2 old people.
Yeah, and doing the stuff that old folk do. Is that really what we do?
We've only taken a couple of trips together, just the 2 of us in our life. I mean, my wife and I. So yeah, we did once. All our kids were out of town. It's like 4 years ago. Yeah, like 4 years ago. It was Father's Day weekend. All the kids were out of town, or working, but I think they were all out of town. So we took off when we went to the beach, just the 2 of us. And we had a good time. We enjoyed. Was that?
How long for?
Just for like 3 days. It was just a long. It was a long week. It was a long weekend. Yeah, but we've only done that, a couple of times. I mean, and we enjoy it. I mean, we had a good time. But
So what did you do?
What did we do?
What did you do when you went to the beach? Did you both just sit on the beach? Are you someone who will just sit on the beach and tan? What do you do?
I mean, I like to get out in the water. I mean, so my wife doesn't get out in the water. I'll get out in the ocean and swim a little bit. My wife doesn't. She can sit on the beach with a book or listening to something and just sit in the sun. And my wife tan, like in 10 minutes in the sun, and my wife is like tan. Yeah. And I love it when she gets out in the sun and gets that dark tan going. Like I love it, but I tan, but not obviously not the same as her. But I'll get out in the water and we'll go to the pool, or we'll go find a restaurant to eat at, or go see something or whatever. But we don't go horseback riding or camel riding or anything like that. So, but yeah.
So it's all over there, is it? It's all over.
No. My wife and I like different things, though. She's much more of a chill out, just enjoy whatever's going on kind of person, and I'm more of a let's go do something, let's see something, let's do something. I like experiences, and she likes the time together and the time with kids or whatever, just kind of doing whatever. And me and the kids are more of a let's go see this, let's go do this, let's whatever. And she's just not like that.
I think I'd love your wife because she sounds just like me.
Yeah, I think the 2 of you would get along quite well. Yeah. But so it is also different though in the UK, because you guys can take a long weekend and go to another country. I mean, and we don't really. the U.S. is so big that for us, we may travel into another state, but you guys may travel into, Ireland, Scotland, Germany, France, wherever, anything. So
that's true.
So it's very different for us.
We don't do that though, do we?
Well, again, because of the kids, we haven't. But who knows? Going forward, we might. I don't know. But no, we haven't really. Well, no, we have, but only with the kids.
Yeah.
And not for weekends.
Not
for weekends. But yeah, we travel quite a bit in Europe.
Yeah. My wife and I, we want to go to Europe, but see, I want to go and go all over Europe, and she's just like, well, why don't we just go kind of here and here, and then maybe we'll go back another time and go a couple other places. So
you're talking about what hiring a car and driving around Europe, or what? How would you get around Europe?
I'm perfectly fine with going train or flying. I'm perfectly fine with trains or flying, and she's more of a let's rent a car and do it on our own terms kind of thing. Like that's her thing. But I think in Europe I might could get her on a train to travel around, because I don't know, that's just one of the great things. You can just jump on a train and hang out on the train, take a train to Germany or France or wherever, and we don't have that here. We don't have a train system really here in the US that are not for passengers anyway. I mean, we have them in some cities. They have, trains in the city, but not that carry you all across the country, So, but anyway, so where's the first place you're going to go together?
Come to America, see you.
Works for me.
You and Big T.
I say works for me. I mean, you come down here, I'll kick my daughter out for the weekend. You can have her apartment. Yeah, she's got her own little place attached to the house to the side, so she doesn't really have to come to our part of the house if she doesn't want to. So, yeah. So anyway,
yes, because the houses in America compared to the UK are massive.
Yeah, they are. But I don't think we're better for it. I mean, I get it. Like if you're in the city or whatever, you live really close to your neighbors, and we have neighborhoods like that. But like, there's plenty of room between us and our neighbor, and don't have to deal with that. I mean, I have trees that go all the way around my house, like around the back and stuff. So, like, if I went out in my backyard, the neighbors that are back behind us wouldn't even be able to see me. So,
oh no, that's not here. We're we're stacked up. Just like I can see into my neighbor's garden, they can see into mine. The lights are on, I'm sure they can see into the house.
So my neighbor to the left of my house, I can see into their backyard, but like I don't feel like we're right on top of each other. But I also don't think we're better for it having bigger houses here. I don't think we're any better for it. Like I live, at least based on conversations I've had with other people, I live my life a little more England, UK kind of thing. Whereas like I do the local thing really kind of close, but I also shop for like 1 or 2 days at a time. Like I'll go to the grocery store and get stuff for just a couple of days, and then I'll go back to the store again in a couple of days. And my understanding is that's kind of, in England, there's a lot of shopping for a couple of days, and then you go back to the shop for a couple to get, and I'm way more like that.
So how they do it in US then?
That's not most people in the US will shop and buy everything for the whole week, and then not go back to the grocery store. They'll buy everything they need for the week. And I don't like that. I like, buying for a couple of days, because what if I don't want what I bought 2 days from now? What if I don't want that? So that's, I don't know. Yeah. I like a small bar pub style thing rather than a big loud music bar, unless I'm seeing a band play. Like I like that lifestyle. Like I would move to England or Ireland in a heartbeat if I could find a job. I would move there.
Don't forget though, Joey, over here you can't carry a gun.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing. Nobody over there can, so I don't feel like I need one.
You heard it here first, everyone.
Yeah.
just cut that there. I don't need one.
Yeah, that's like I'll be the first to tell you, I own guns because I like guns. I like having them. I like going and shooting guns and things like that. But my gun, the last gun I bought, I carried it on vacation with me and put it in the house we stayed in.
Oh no, you can't hang.
I don't know what just happened. Something just happened. Something strange happened. I don't know what it was, but we're still alive. So
yeah, let's just talk about guns. That's doing it. You see,
I guess so. It's a sort of the U.S. government. Some of the Republicans were like, hey. No, yes. So I don't. I bought it. I carried it on vacation, stuck it in the nightstand of the house we stayed in, and then whenever we left, I put it back in the car and came home, and it's in my bedroom, and no one knows where it's at, but it's in my bedroom, and it hasn't moved since. And that's 3 weeks ago. So I don't. We don't. Go ahead.
Keep the gun in a special cabinet, because in the UK, the people do they shoot for like game and things like that. It's got to be registered with the police. The police have got to come and see where it is that you're keeping it. It's got to be in a locked cabinet.
No, when we buy a gun here, you have to fill out a paperwork with the state. So, like the state of Tennessee, for example, state of Tennessee, they basically do a background check. They make sure you're not a criminal. They make sure that you haven't been diagnosed as mentally or criminally insane, because if you're a criminal or if you're insane or whatever, you're not allowed to own a gun. You're not legally anyway. And so they run a background check on you, and you are telling them what gun you're buying and the serial number and everything, but that's not stored. That's not considered legal necessarily, depending on what state you're in. But then you buy the gun, like the state then comes back and tells wherever you're buying it, just comes back and says yes, this person legally can buy that gun, and then you buy it and you take it home with you. And a lot of people keep guns locked up. If I had young kids, if I had little kids or whatever, I would absolutely have a gun safe and have the guns locked up so that they couldn't get their hands on it. But I also raised the kids. They got to shoot, like go to the range and shoot guns sometimes. So they have a more of a respect for firearms than most people. My oldest son doesn't like guns, doesn't want a gun. Gabe doesn't want anything to do with it, but he's had friends that are stupid and shouldn't be able to have a gun do stupid things. So he's a little more scared of it. But yeah, but we don't have to keep it locked up. But if you have little kids, it's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But
so
again,
it's also loaded.
Yes. Well, it's loaded, but there's not one in the chamber.
Ooh. So
if you pick it up and pull the trigger, it will do nothing right now. You'd have to actually cock it, whatever you want to call it, and that would put one in the chamber. But so it's right now there's not one. It's got a clip in it that's full, but I can't. If I picked it up right now and just started pulling the trigger, it would do nothing.
Okay.
So.
Yes, yeah. Even just the thought of having one, touching one, it's frightening to me. I just can't.
Yeah, if you guys come over here, we'll go to the gun range and let you guys actually shoot one in a legal place.
You would?
Of course.
Yeah, it's a gun range is one of the safest places you can be at, honestly. But that's not to say that no one's ever been shot at a gun range. I mean, but it's very safe. I mean, because they have rules and regulations and people there watching all the time, and if you start trying to shoot somebody at a gun range, chances are you may get one round off at somebody, but somebody else is going to put you down pretty quick.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, guns are, I don't know. I like being able to own them, but if I lived somewhere where no one could have them, I wouldn't feel as much of a need for it, so.
I think that's about as close as we're going to get.
As close as you're going to get to what? I like guns.
So Jerry said, yeah, guns are not necessary.
No. I don't think that guns are necessary. I think in the U.S. it's pretty damn close, though, because so many people do own guns, and there's a lot of crime in the U.S. that isn't gun crime. And so, if someone breaks into your house and they have a weapon and you don't, you're screwed. I mean, like, what are you going to do? You know? And my wife is one of those people that's like, I don't want the responsibility on me. And I'm like, I don't want that responsibility, but I have that responsibility. If somebody breaks in this house and it's them or us, yeah, it's them all day long. Like, I no questions asked.
Over here, someone burgles your house. Normally, they just want to get some stuff and get out. They're not looking to harm people. They're just looking to get some stuff. So here, if you're being burgled and you meet up with someone, the best thing you can do is tell them to swing the rook, get out. And, you know what I mean? And
yeah, but what if they don't? What if they don't? Or what if they've got a knife?
Yeah, then if they've got a knife, then yeah, make sure you've got weapons as well. But you just won't have a gun.
Sure.
You don't probably really have. They've got a gun. If they've got a knife, yeah, you've got weapons here as well. Just ain't got guns.
Yeah, it's just that's close combat. Don't want to have to deal with that.
Hand to hand.
Yeah, that's close. That's close. No, I get it. I mean, but in the U.S., if someone breaks in your house, I mean, and you're there, chances are they're gonna try to hurt you because you're there and you've seen them. Chances are, and maybe that's just more speaking poorly about the U.S. and how we are here. But I don't know, whatever. That's fine. So
all right, let me just ask this then. I was listening to one of your programs, and you said something that was a little bit upsetting to me.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah, and you said you don't get the whole cappuccino thing. Usually, it's ordered by hipstery white women. That's what you said.
Yes, in the U.S., white middle-aged and young hipster white women will go into a coffee shop or a Starbucks and they'll order their like half calf, soy-free, dairy-free, almond milk cappuccino or latte or whatever, and it's like,
what's that?
That's what you
I was ordering every day a regular, dry, skinny, sugar-free caramel cappuccino.
There's no man in this world should be ordering anything with the word skinny in it.
Well, yeah, look, I'm watching my gut. So skinny means I'm not getting full fat milk. I don't want full fat milk.
Full fat milk is good for you.
Yeah, but it's also high in calorie. No.
But that's the thing is calories don't matter. It's not the calories. It's what kind of calories you're taking in. And fat's good for you. I promise you, I could tell you what to eat, and I promise you would lose weight or maintain. I promise.
See, this brings me on to my another subject then, because I know, again, something else that you said, that you are on a, if I'm not mistaken, it's a no carb diet, or you were on a no carb diet. Is that right? Am I mistaken?
Yes. So over the last few weeks, my wife has started doing a lot of baking because she's got something she's kind of working on or whatever. So she's doing a lot of baking. So I have been eating more carbs and more sugar over the last few weeks than I would normally. But yes, prior to that, I was eating almost exclusively meat, a little bit of vegetables, but no sugar, no grains, and it's not no carbs because there are carbs and like green beans have carbs in them and banana. I eat bananas for breakfast, and there's a little bit of sugar in that. Even though natural sugar is not great for you to eat in high amounts. I mean, but yes, I was eating a lot of meat, and then a little bit of vegetables. But yes, but I lost 20 pounds over the span of a couple months. So,
right, because I think you said your goal weight was 180, which I worked out to be about 12 stones.
Yeah, so for my goal weight for vacation was I wanted to be at 190 pounds for vacation, and then my ultimate goal weight is to be around 180. But I may make that a little lower. I may go 170. We'll see. And I'm a little over 190 right now because I've been eating a little more of the carbs and stuff while my wife's baking. But I'm a little over 190 right now. But yeah, I promise you, I could tell you what to eat, and unless you don't have a medical reason not to eat it, then I promise you will lose weight. I promise you will lose weight.
Yeah,
I'm on it already.
I was going to say, you're doing your thing.
Sure.
But Roxanne on the night.
Sure.
Dead calories right there, mate. Dead calories.
Yeah.
But I'm already, Roxanne and I actually looking to get fit for by Christmas. So we're already got our own little regime going on, and we're reducing calories. Even though you seem to think that there are good calories and bad calories. At the end of the day, my mindset is that if you want to lose weight, whether the calories are good or they're bad, if you are intaking more calories than you're expelling, you're going to put weight on. No matter how good those calories.
But it's just not true. It's just not. It's most people think that, but it's just not true. We'll talk later. I'll tell you what. I promise you. I promise you. If you do what I'll tell you to do, I promise you'll lose weight. I promise.
I'm losing weight.
No, I understand that.
50 stones at the beginning of May. I'm now I'm now 14 stones in 2 months. So
there you go. So yeah, all right. Well, good. You know what you're doing. You're fine. You're not unhealthy, so it's not whatever. But if someone's having trouble losing weight and things like that, I promise you, I can tell you what to do. And it's not my thing. It's somebody else I kind of discovered who has a degree and does this shit for a living. So yeah. Anyway, but sure. So what was the problem with me eating a no carb diet? You said it bothered you. What was the problem?
Oh, no. What bothered me was the you having to got people who drink the sugar-free caramel cappuccinos. That just I think when you mentioned that the full fat milk was good calories, that's what brought me on to.
Yeah, I don't even consider calories at all. I don't consider calories at all. Not at all. I can go to and eat dinner tonight and I could. So a dinner for me when I was actually really hardcore trying to lose weight, I might eat a pound of red meat or ground beef, a steak or something like that, and then maybe a couple bites of green beans, maybe, but that would be it. But that the red meat has got so much good fat in it that it makes you feel full, and so you eat less. And I don't know, a pound sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's really not. I mean, at least in the U.S., it's not. People eat shitloads here. I mean, we eat so much food here, and most of it is bad stuff. I keep sliding in the seat, and I looked at myself on camera. I look like I'm laying down. But yeah, we eat so much in the U.S., and we even more so here in the South, that a pound is not a lot. But if it's a pound of really good fat, like high good fat, not like man-made fat and things like that, but like good fat in red meat, you're not going to feel like you're going to feel like you've eaten even more than that as far as being full. And chances are, like, you could do like the what's the diet called? Intermittent fasting. So like if I ate dinner, but I may not eat breakfast. I may not eat, if I eat, let's just say at 7:00 at night here, I may not eat again till noon the next day, but I'll never feel hungry during that time. So,
right. See, I eat regularly. Yeah, I eat regularly. I don't. If I try to skip meals, I end up eating. Oh, he's frozen again. Is he frozen?
No, you're good.
Just in the shoulder. Yeah, if I don't eat regularly, then I end up eating rubbish. So I eat regularly. So when I say,
I get that.
Yeah, when I say dieting, again, it's not even dieting. It's more what we call conscious eating. So I'm not eating crisps and stuff like that. But apart from that.
No, I get that. Yeah,
eating what I want as well.
Yeah, I get that, and I think you can maintain, and you can even lose a little bit of weight if you really are conscious about how much you eat and what you eat, and kind of because that's what I've done, eating more of the stuff when my wife's baking or whatever. I've still kind of maintained my weight because I've made sure that I don't eat like shit outside of those times. Right. So. But if I want to lose weight, all I got to do is start eating a lot of meat and no and little to no carbs, and I will drop weight fast. So it always makes my wife mad when we both kind of diet together, because I'll lose a pound a day for 2 weeks, and she doesn't lose weight. Women in general don't lose weight as fast as men, so it always makes her mad. So
and that brings us on to Roxanne, because this is something that we're doing together, and Roxanne.
Smashing it at the moment.
Are you?
Too much.
A stone and a half. Yeah, a stone and a half. I don't know what that is in pounds, because I don't.
I think a stone is like 14 some odd pounds,
Yeah.
something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
about 20.
Well,
Yeah,
there you
20
go.
pounds. So.
Yeah. I mean, 20 pounds, that ain't nothing to blink at. I mean, that's 20 pounds. I mean, that's a different 20 pounds is actually less than that. 10 for me, 10 pounds is the difference in my back hurting all the time and my knees hurting all the time. When I was at 190, my back felt better, my knees hurt less, and even just being on vacation and eating like shit on vacation because I was just enjoying my time, I put on like 6 or 7 pounds over the span of 2 weeks, and my knees were killing me. My back was hurting. I mean, it was just, for me, it's a health thing. I want to, when I actually have grandkids, I want to be able to play with them. So,
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
But like, you're in the South, like mixed. Well, we call them mixed relationships. Because your wife is
Black.
See, well, that's just it.
Okay, so she's mixed. She's mixed. She's interracial. Yes, she's interracial is what we call it here. Yes.
Right. Okay. So for me, I think I've heard. I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I love Meghan Markle. Okay. Now, but she's classed as over there. You'd say that she was black, because I would look at her and I would more think that she is like Spanish.
Sure.
Right. So, for your wife, how does she view herself? Does she view herself as black? Because equally, you being mixed race, you could be white or
well,
or
so most of the time she would just, if someone asked, which no one really asks in the U.S. anymore, most of the time, I think people are worried now how it's going to be viewed, which is a ridiculous thing. I mean, asking someone is a ridiculous. Asking someone doesn't mean anything bad. It's just like I want it helps me more think about your life experience. I mean, but most people wouldn't ask anymore. But if they did ask, she'd probably say I'm mixed, and she'd say my mom's white, my dad's black, and but up until semi recently, if one of your parents, or even my kids are like this, if one of your parents were black or had that on their birth certificate, then that's one on your birth. So all my kids, on their birth certificate, it says that they're black. And if you look at all three of my kids, each one of them is a different color. Like Gabe, you look at Gabe and you don't, and Gabe's dad's black and my wife's mixed. So if you split that up percentage wise, he's 25 white and 75 black. And then my other two kids are exactly the opposite, 75 white and 25 black, if you give it a percentage. But their birth certificates also still say the same thing. And my youngest son, who's the middle child, he just looks straight up white. Like if you see him, he just looks like a straight up white guy with a Jufro. I mean, like he's got really curly hair and it's kind of long now, so it kind of hangs down. Jufro. Yeah, that's what they when a white guy over here has kind of a curly afro-y kind of hair, they call it a Jufro. Yeah. And then my daughter looks a little more Hispanic. Her whole life, everyone always thought she was Hispanic. Always thought. And when she was young, it made her mad. Like because it's like people were assuming something that's not untrue about her, and it just made her mad. But also her brothers and all of their friends made fun of her. Just picking at her, just really taking the piss. I mean, really, but
so how do they feel then? Especially you said the son that looks almost white. How do they feel about, I don't know, being classed as black by
law?
I don't think they really think about it much. It never really comes up with us. I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I know it has come up with some friends and stuff before. Like my son said something one time, and somebody was like, I said something to him, I don't know, and he was like, "You do understand I'm mixed, right? I'm not just a run of the mill white guy or whatever." So it has come up at times before, but I don't think they think about it that much.
Yeah.
My daughter said to me recently, we were talking about my youngest son, Matthew, who looks white. And I was like, yeah, I just wonder how that is, for, when people, whatever, find out that he's mixed. And she was like, it doesn't nowadays. Most people in society, it doesn't matter because you're considered whatever race you present as. Meaning, like, if you look like you're white, you're considered white, and you don't get to have any of the black side of life experience or consideration or anything. And if you look black, then you're black, and that's what the way they and I think that's insane to me. First off, that we're judging people by the color of their skin now. We're back to that. I mean, so that's insane. That's insane to me that we've come all the way back around to. It's not the quote in the U.S. anyway. It's not the quote racist South or whatever you want to call it that is judging people by the color of their skin. It's not to say none of that happens. That still happens, but it's now the left-leaning people that have now come back around to now they're judging everyone by the color of their skin, and it's an insane thing to me. So. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we need to consider the color of people's skin because that very much determines what a lot of life experience is. And I understand it. I used to be a person years ago that would say, I don't even see color. And then had it explained to me one day, it was like, but if you don't see the color of someone's skin, then you don't consider what their life experience could be. And I'm like, you know what? Shit, that makes a lot of sense. So, I don't feel that way anymore, but so we need to see the color of people's skin and consider it, but not not judge based off of it, and not, I don't know.
We judge, but it's still a sketchy subject to
for sure.
About. It's interesting.
So why do you like Meghan Markle?
I guess because she is someone of color and
she's attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, she is that, yes.
And she's reached somewhere that we never expected.
That's what I was going to say.
It to happen.
Exactly.
Color in the royal family.
Yeah. And that's why I love her for it. And to be quite honest, it's just so amazing how the British media pit her against Kate. They're just
well, that doesn't surprise me so much.
Well, the U.S. media has done that too. When it comes up, they have done that too, as well.
Yeah, they do that, but she's the hostility that she's received, and I can't say I'm surprised. But what it does show me is that even with her good looks and her light skin, because the light skin does make a difference, she is still not accepted. So you can just imagine if that was some dark-skinned girl that he had brought to the country, someone would have got stoned.
Just to be quite honest, I look at her and I thought that she was Hispanic. I didn't know that she was mixed race. When I look at her,
well, I'm guessing if she was Hispanic, it would have been okay. I'm guessing it would have been okay.
It depends on what kind of Hispanic, right?
I don't think any Hispanic. All right.
Right. I mean, because in the U.S., if you're Hispanic, but you're from, let's say, Puerto Rico, which is not a country, it's owned by the U.S., but it's regardless. You're looked differently than someone who's from Mexico. So I would assume but I don't know. In Europe, if you're speaking about someone that's from Spain, you don't call that Hispanic, do you?
No, Spanish.
Spanish, yeah. So that's different. I was gonna say if she were from Spain, then there would probably be no problem. But if she were from Mexico or Brazil or something like that, then there might be a problem. So
I don't know. I think, like everything else, there are varying degrees of acceptability in the UK, and okay, we always end up, especially if we always end up talking about it, but right at the top or the bottom is dark skin black.
Yeah.
Dark skin black.
Okay.
And nobody wants that. The Chinese, having umbrellas in summer so their skin doesn't get too dark. If you're South Indian, you're low caste, whereas if you're North and you're lighter skinned, you're higher caste. Nobody wants to be dark, man. Nobody wants to be dark.
Which is interesting because people always think that the U.S. has the market cornered on racism, yet everyone in the U.S. wants to get a tan and be darker.
Well, we talk. That's something black people talk about already. Not only do a lot of white people want tans, they're getting the injections in their lips. They want their lips to be bigger.
Yeah.
They want their bums to be bigger. Yeah. All the characteristics that black people were vilified for years back is now in fashion.
Yeah, no, I completely. I agree. I completely agree with you. And like whatever, I'm fine. Everybody wants to get bigger butts, and if you want, everybody wants a bigger ass and bigger lips and everything. I'm fine with it. I'm here for it. No, it's
life.
Yeah. It is a strange thing. We had a huge discussion on here, me, Steven, and then my son Gabe and his girlfriend, and his girlfriend is white, and I mean she is white, like white as your shirt white. I mean she is white. And we were having a discussion about race and things and how the pendulum swings back and forth, and I was making the argument that we should be trying to keep the pendulum from swinging at all. Let's see if we can get that. That's interesting. I don't know what happened. That's strange.
But yeah, swinging.
Yeah, so we should be trying to do whatever we can to keep that pendulum from swinging as far. Let's try to keep it a little closer to the middle. And they were saying, everyone else was saying, Stephen, Gabe, Kelsey, we're all saying like, yeah, but you can't stop it from swinging. It's going to swing back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, but we shouldn't just accept that. We shouldn't just accept that it's going to. We should be trying to maintain it as close to the middle as we can for as long as we can. And yeah,
so when it's swinging backwards and forwards, when it swings pro-black, what does that look like? Because I'm assuming when you say this pendulum swinging backwards and forwards, I'm assuming you mean what? That there's times when things are good for black people and times when they're good for white people. What does that mean?
I think that in the U.S. anyway, it has never swung to that side. I think it is swinging to that side.
That's what I was trying to find out. Yeah,
I think it is swinging to that side, and I'm not saying that it's bad to be swinging in that direction, but I'm saying, why don't we try to get this somewhere into the middle so that we are all what at least normal sane people have fought for so long, where everyone is equal.
Yeah, I think the argument to that would be, because of course you know that argument.
Yes, of course.
That if you have a scenario where a certain group of people have had things in their favor, then they're here. So if you then make everything equal, then everything stops like that.
No. I'm saying, because so in your scenario, you have white people and you have anyone else, right? In your scenario, or you have white people, you have other people, and then you have black people, right? Yeah. In reality, probably is more like that. So currently, the pendulum then, if white people are over here and black people are over here, the pendulum is over in this general area and it's headed this direction. What I'm saying, because as the pendulum swings, it starts to do like this. This comes down and this comes up. And what I'm saying is, if we can get that pendulum somewhere close to the middle, it's going to be somewhere in this range, is what I'm saying.
And that looks good, but I don't think that's how it works. I think if you have a scenario like this, and then you somehow made a rule and made everything equal, that wouldn't automatically just put people here. People would still be here. Things would just now be equal. So they would now have a chance to make it here. But they're still going to be here. If things were equal tomorrow, if tomorrow everything was equal, that pendulum was bang right in the center. That wouldn't automatically put black people up here.
Right. But what I'm saying is I think it's going to move this one up a little bit and it's going to move this one down a little bit so that it is easier to get things to here. And even if this side then has to come down a little more, that's fine. But I'm saying if we're here and the pendulum's over here and it's coming back, eventually it's going to get up to this side and it's going to go like this, right?
No, is it?
Well, I mean, that's what the whole pendulum thing is.
Centuries. And white people have been up here for hundreds of years or whatever.
Sure.
Surely the pendulum has to swing to the other side for a period of time before black people are up there, and then it gets to the center.
Yeah, but when that pendulum swings over there, does that not then do this?
No, not automatically. Not automatically.
No, not automatically. No, but
but it has to be over there for a period of time for these people to then rise up, and then when they become level, then if it's level, then it sticks. I'm pretty sure if you made everything equal tomorrow, black people would still be down here, and 10 years from now they would still be down here, even though things are now equal. Because
could very likely be the case. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, if the pendulum swings all the way, because I look at it as more of a opposites. If it's on this side and then it goes opposite, it's on the other side, then that puts then a group below and a group above is the way I look at it. And so what I'm saying is we should be fighting for middle ground. And when I say middle ground, I mean we should be fighting to put everything here. Nothing is ever going to be exactly equal, because you can never take the human element out of it, and there's always going to be prejudice and things like that. It just is just part of life. But you know, if we had the pendulum swinging and it was just doing back and forth like this, whatever, fine. But if we're here and the pendulum swings the other way, then we're going to go this way at some point. It has to.
How long do you think that would take? How long do you think?
I don't know. I don't know, because in a lot of cases,
that's going to take hundreds of years. Surely.
I don't know. But in a lot of cases, it feels like
land.
It's moving.
I mean, black people don't have any land or anything like that. If you make things equal straight away, that wouldn't automatically give us land, unless you're talking about to make things equal means to take things away from the people who have it and give it to the people who don't. If you're talking about just making things equal, then I don't really see how that would make people down here automatically up here, unless you took from those who have and gave to those who didn't, and then made things equal.
Well, I think that there's a difference between equality of opportunity and an equality of outcome.
So right. Okay, so your idea of equality then just equality of opportunity, like the fact that the people who don't have will still not have is what, which is something that we should just be.
No. It's not something we should just be okay with and just go with. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't think you have to take from anyone to give to. I don't think
that's how those who are above, that's how they got there in the first place. Surely.
Well, maybe their family did back in the day. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of that for sure. And should those companies have to pay some kind of right? I think that's probably a really good question, and should be something that's greatly considered. But I don't think that we always have to take from somebody else just so that somebody else can have something. But I am more of a proponent of equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. But again, you really have to make sure that we look and pay attention to those things, because outcome is definitely influenced by equality, and so
of course
that has to be considered for sure. I mean, I work for a company that just hired an Indian lady, Indian lady, for a very high up position, and like maybe there are some white men that are not okay with that. I'm not one of them. Like, I don't care if she's the most qualified person for that job that went in for it. I don't care who has it. Like, just give me the most qualified people, whoever it is. So
yeah.
So
I remember we discussed that before.
Yeah. Sure. I think we had that conversation with Easy one time as well, and I think
we did.
I think Easy and I are on the same page. It's like it doesn't matter who gets it as long as it's the most. Well, I mean, if you get on an airplane, do you want equality of representation in the pilot, or do you want?
Here's my answer to that. On a plane, do I necessarily need the best pilot in the world to fly my plane, or just somebody who's qualified, someone who can do the job?
I want the best person available. I do. It's
I'm
my
sure you
life.
do. That's
It's
not
my
what we get.
family's life.
We just get someone who's qualified. That's all we get. That's all we get. Someone who's qualified.
Sure, but so if you're flying and for us,
if you've got 10 people who's qualified, and only one of them is black, and of the 1,000 pilots that you have in your company, only 10% of them are black. You now got an interview. Only one of those people are black has passed. Should he get that job? He may not be the best one there, but he's passed. He's a pilot. He's a fully qualified pilot. He'll be able to more than do the job. My question is, why shouldn't he get the job? Why would you not give him the job? That's my question.
My answer is always, I want the most qualified person to get the job. That's my answer. I don't care I want the most qualified person. I don't care what your race is or what your gender is or your sexual orientation. I don't care. If 10 people apply, I want the most qualified person given that job. And there's lots of things to be considered. How well they're going to fit in with the team and things like that have to be considered as well. But
how well they fit in the team. Do you know that is what they call that? That's that produces I don't know the terms, man. Like gender bias, or I don't know, something like that. No gender bias. That's totally
I can see that.
But what happens is you then look at the people you've got, and then you look at the people who's interviewed, and you decide which one will fit.
I don't know.
You may well decide that one.
I don't know what happened to you, but it looks like. Hey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I can see you.
Yeah, that's crazy. It kicked you guys off and brought you back in another instance. So that's strange. But anyway,
okay. I thought maybe it's because of the things that I'm saying. I thought you.
No. I think to me, fitting in with a team is the least important thing for the most part, just because if you can do the job and you're the best at it, or at least best that applied for it, then fine. If I'm a hiring manager, if I'm the person that has to make a decision on hiring someone, obviously you're going to have to meet people before you can give someone a job. You do have to meet the person. I get that.
Yes.
But the way I choose, let's say you got 10 people and I got to meet 3 of them. Let's just say I got to get it down to 3 people. The way I choose those 3 people is I want to see their resume. I don't want to know their name. I don't want to see a photo. I don't want to know anything about them except what their experience and qualifications are. And then I make a choice off of that, and then I meet the person. And I don't know how you can do it any other way that makes it more equal.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good, and that's the new way of thinking. That you don't want to know the names. Yeah, you don't want to know pictures. Yeah, that's the new way of thinking.
It's not the new way of thinking here. It's not the new way of thinking. Huh? The new way of thinking now is if we have face-to-face meetings with people, we need to make sure that there's a woman. We need to make sure that there's a minority race, and then we can look at other people. And I don't think that helps anybody. I don't think it helps anybody. I mean, to the extent that in the U.S., if you take a standardized test, like a college placement test, the ACT, the SAT, whatever your race is, will give you a bump in points or a deduction in points. Mm-hmm. And that's not good for people. Mm-hmm. If you're Asian, you lose points on the SAT or ACT because Asians do better than most non-white races in the U.S. And so you lose points. And how's that fair to an Asian person? They're a minority as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds racist.
It sounds very racist. But if you're black or Hispanic, you get extra points in the U.S. And so how is that good as well?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's a fucked up situation that we're in, but
that's the problem. It's a fucked up situation, and a situation that needs to be resolved. And again, I always use that scenario. If you're in a company and you've got you know, in an area that's 50-50 between black and white people, and in your company there's 80% white people and only 20% black people, something's not right. Something is not right. Unless you're telling me that white people are more smarter than black people, then something's not right. And if something's not right, then the next question should be, what are you doing to address it? And telling me that I'm going to pick the smartest people, to me, is not addressing the problem. So then you're saying there isn't really a problem. You can't tell me there is a problem, but I'm not going to do. Well, you can, I guess. What you're saying is there's a problem, but I'm not really going to do nothing about it.
I get that, I don't disagree with you on that. I think then your question doesn't need to be, who do I pick? I think your question needs to be, why is it that we don't have more black candidates or Hispanic candidates? And then let's figure that out. I don't think the problem is in the hiring. I think the problem is in the educating. Probably. But I'm not to say there's not problems in hiring.
You just said that, didn't you? You just said that.
What did I say?
What did you say?
What did I say?
You just said that white people are smarter than black people.
That is not what I said. No, if anything,
what does that mean then? The issues to do with education. What does that mean?
If anything, what I'm saying is white people have been treated and given better and given better educations than black people.
Than what? Than black people.
Yes, they've been treated better and given better.
So they're more educated than black people.
In a lot of cases, yes, more educated, but that doesn't mean smarter. That means they've been given more opportunity.
Okay, but for jobs, you need to be...
No, I get that. I completely get that. I'm just saying, I think the problem starts with the educating and the fairness and equality in education and equality in opportunity, not inequality in outcome. I think it's back to equality and opportunity. I mean, I don't think white people are smarter than black people. I do think that white people, for the most part in this country, have been given a better opportunity in education than black people. I think white people have been given better than black people. And I think that has put black people at a disadvantage, and that for sure needs to change. But that in no way is me implying that white people are smarter than black people. Do not put those words in my mouth.
This is what I'm going to live with. This is what
because if my wife listened to this, love may not conquer all.
It's great, mate. It's great.
Why do we always get on race? When you and I talk, it always ends up being about race.
Because there are very few things I think that I can find to argue with you about.
do you feel like you and I argue and disagree on racial issues?
That's just it. We don't. I think on so many things we think alike, which is quite a surprise to me. But considering you're from US, I'm from UK, you're white, I'm black. Yeah, I think it does surprise me a little bit. We do appear to think alike in so many ways. So I'm not going to lie, I do try to find something.
That's fine. I like it. It's part of the reason I like talking to you, because I can say asinine things and I can and get my ship righted or have a good argument. But I've said this before about you, André, and I've said this before, I've never had a conversation with you that I don't come away learning something new and being smarter for it.
Likewise, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why I love it, because I mean, even the things what you just said a minute ago, it's the truth is they're right. It's always nice to hear, and nevertheless, I also like to just bring something to the table. Yeah, but it's great. It's great to do.
Yeah. So my wife said, and I'll end with this so I can let you guys get on with your evening. But my wife and I were talking about my podcast the other day, a month ago, because there was a guy. One night I was doing the show alone, and for the first time ever, she was watching it live. She was upstairs and she was watching it live, and she was commenting on some things. And then another guy that has been on the show once for a small amount of time, and I've been on his show, and his show is called I Didn't Read Your Book, and it's a very good show, but he goes by the name Lutch, Lutch, and he was commenting on some things I was talking about as well. And she and I were talking, and I said, if you were going to guess based on the comments you saw and his name, Lutch, what would you think his race is? Or what would you think he looks? I didn't say race. So what would you think he looks like? And she described him to me, and she described a white guy and blah, blah, blah. And he's not. I don't know what his race is, but he looks like he's probably Indian. But, born and raised in the U.S., but and he has long, dark hair. And I showed her a photo of him, and she said, "Oh my God, like I never thought that. That's insane." And she said, like, "Oh, you do have friends that aren't white, don't you?" Is what she said to me. And I said to her, I said, "Do you know, out of all of the quote friendships or relationships I've made in the 2.5 years of doing this podcast, the majority of the ones that have stuck are people that are not white." And I said, actually, most of them are black. I mean, I have Troy, I have so Troy Smith that was commenting earlier, and then his partner Trevor, you, Easy, Big T, Lutch. These are the friendships or whatever that have stuck. And I said, does that surprise you that I have made friends that aren't white or a majority black friends? And she says, no, it doesn't surprise me that you've made those friends. It surprises me that they like you, is what she said. So yeah. All right. You guys have anything you want to plug? Go ahead.
When you say Indian, is that like American Indian?
No. I think East Indian or whatever, or maybe not East Indian, but Indian. Yeah. Right, okay. I think I don't know. He lives in Vegas. I think he's born and raised in the U.S., but he's definitely not white. So anyway, do you two have anything you want to plug or anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Me?
Either of you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as always. Everyone knows about something for the weekend, which is on tomorrow, and GXP Productions is which Roxanne and I work with. But really, all I want to say is, as always, thanks for inviting us, Joey. It's always great. It's always different. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you too for being on here, and maybe we'll get Roxanne on here by herself sometimes.
My first experience was good, but I don't think I could do it on my own.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So again, something for the weekend. Next episode's tomorrow. It is at 1 p.m. Eastern in the U.S. and then 6 p.m. in UK. So I guess I am hosting that tomorrow, aren't I? So and I'm trying to think who my guest next week is. I'm pretty sure it's the ladies from the Is Marriage Worth It podcast. So tune in next Saturday night. Until next time, goodbye. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at B3F Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch at B3F Podcast. And on Instagram at B3F_podcast. YouTube has all of our videos. Support us on Patreon or buy me a coffee at B3F Podcast. Send all your questions or comments to admin at B3Fpodcast.com. Find us online at B3Fpodcast.com. Rate us and review us wherever you listen. And as always, thanks for listening.